Okay, sorry about that. This should be my final video, I promise. Anyway, so basically she's going on saying that men aren't jerks. You've got the top 15% of men being pursued by all the women. And since they're getting nothing but women, tail left and right, they can act like assholes. No, they can't. You may have a lot of people going after you. That doesn't mean that you have to be an asshole about it. As I say to many men, just because you have a dick doesn't mean you have to be one. Now, another thing that she states is that incentives that are currently being given to couples who are not married should be eliminated. If a child is conceived outside of marriage, men shouldn't have to be responsible for that child in any way, whether it be taking care of that child, helping raise that child, living with that child, or responsible financially for that child. Cassie, once again, you are not giving men the proper... You're not giving them any credit. You're letting them get away with all the crap. You wouldn't let a woman get away with that bullshit, would you? I just kind of feel sorry for you, Cassie. You hate women. You're a self-hating woman. And yet, you don't love men. You don't like men. You pity men. They don't have nearly the intelligence that a woman does, the way that you go on and the way that you that speak about them. So you'd let a man get away with something, but you wouldn't let a woman get away with something because, you wouldn't want to hurt or bruise his little ego. You'd probably be one of those people that would let a man win in a game, that would let a man win over you in basketball or a foot race, a man that you could easily win or might be able to, give him a run for his money or something. But you won't. You'll hold back and you'll look like the poor little woman that needs to be taken care of because you're nursing his ego. You claim to love men, but you really don't. You pity them. You don't give them the credit that they're worth. Gee, everybody says that I hate men because I'm a lesbian, but honestly, I give men a lot more credit than you do. And I'm willing to bet that I actually like men a lot more than you do. The only difference is I don't want to have sex with them or be in a relationship other than friendship with them. That's the only difference. You're letting them off the hook. I'm sorry, Cassie. If a man and woman have a child outside of marriage, that's not just the fault of the woman. I'm not letting the woman off the hook at all. Don't get me wrong, Cassie. But it takes two to tango. So why should the woman bear all the responsibility for that? Why are you letting the woman have to bear responsibility for that, but let the man off the hook? He's not exactly innocent in making that child. He's not exactly blameless. He had a part in there, okay? You go on to say that broken homes, unwillingness of men to commit, divorce, illegitimate children are all the fault of feminism and the sexual revolution. I got news for you, girl. I'm sorry. But you and people like you who feel that men should not be responsible for their children just because they're not married in any way, shape, or form, that creates a broken home. Not the piece of paper that you think that you can get in your church and your church alone. Honestly, I think sometimes the men who created your religion, they are the ones that made God a male figure. They're the ones that told you to stay in your corner and to shut up and bear your children. Not to dare speak to a man unless you're spoken to. Don't even think about teaching men. If you must feel like you need to learn, then you learn from your husband. Or don't. That all comes from your religion, Cassie. And why do men feel like they need to just step on the necks of women like that? Keep them down, keep them suppressed, try to shove down their throats that they ain't worth half of what men are worth. Because women are stronger. Sure, Men, they can't multitask, first of all. Not nearly as good as women can. Second of all, did you know that even though men have a stronger body, the strongest muscle in the human body is actually owned by women. Men don't even have it within their bodies. And that is the muscle that is used to push out babies during childbirth. Another thing to be jealous of. And women can create life. So if men have problems with all those, it sounds like a personal problem to me. I just don't know why someone like you would actually buy it. You're a strong woman. And honestly, what you say and what you do are two different things. You constantly contradict yourself. You say women should not be allowed to vote. Women's voting rights should be taken away. Well, then let me ask you a question, Cassie. Why do you speak on conservative issues? Why do you do things politically? You're trying to educate people about politics. Something a woman should never know. And I bet some of the people that you're trying to educate are men. Not happening in your religion. Let me ask you a question, Cassie. You think women's rights should be taken away to vote? May I ask, do you vote? I bet you do. Women shouldn't be in the workplace. Women shouldn't be paid as much as men because they don't work nearly as hard as men do. Cassie, do you work? What the fuck are you doing in the workplace? You keep on going on about the good old days of marriage and that women shouldn't be so damn choosy. It's a sexual revolution and feminism that brought up all this crap. You should be. You should be choosy because you're choosing a life mate, a partner for the rest of your life, someone that you're not going to want to try to get divorced from, someone that you're going to want to work on marriage for. Why shouldn't you be choosy, men or women? Men should be choosy, and so should women. May I ask you, back in the good old days when people were snatched up and married by the age of 20, Cassie, you're in your 20s. If you're so into the good old days and this is the way things should be, why aren't you married? You're one of these good ones that don't complain, that'll pop out 10 kids like Pez, that will be submissive to her husband and do as he says, and be a good wife. So why aren't you married? Not the shrilling bitches that are into feminism. I'm asking why you aren't married. You say that you would not allow yourself to get into a physical relationship with, into a relationship with someone that would physically beat you or something. You might. My mom was in a relationship. She had no idea that he was a physical abuser until after the marriage. You know what? She got out of it. And I applaud her for that. Because this was back in the 70s when there was no help for women, when it was always the woman's fault. You know why she left? Not because she was getting her ass kicked every day and her ass handed to her every day for no reason, but because their child, my older sister, he finally put his hands on her. And my mother acted like a real woman and got the hell out of Dodge the moment that he even put his hands on my sister, his child, my mother's child, her baby. But that's all my mom's fault, right? That's all women's fault. That's all the woman's fault, even if none of that behavior was shown before they got married. Cassie, I feel sorry for you. I really do. You need to start looking into what you say and what you do just a little bit closer. I pray for you. Brightest blessings.